Welcome back to another episode of the Course Creation Incubator Podcast. I'm your host, GINA Onativia, here to get you stoked about your course creation, your marketing, and help you build up the course-based business of your dreams. And if you're listening to this podcast, I don't care if you have a side hustle. I don't care if your courses are your mainstay. Wherever you are, you're doing it. You're making it happen. You're actively making moves. You're building momentum. And I've been talking about a lot of different topics over the last few weeks. And by the way, if you didn't listen to last week, please make sure to check it out. I go month by month through a course creation and marketing plan that you can launch in 12 months. Plus, I've got a free companion download, a guide, a checklist that you can download as part of that episode. So if you have not downloaded that yet, please go back, check it out. 146, make sure you get that download that you can refer to again and again. Now, today I want to talk about a question that I got the other day from one of my students. When is too soon to launch again? Or when do I launch again without burning out my audience? Such a great question, right? Like, how often should you launch? How often do you put your program out there? Now, some of you have your program on Evergreen and it's always available. I have my 6-week accelerator, which helps you put out your starter course from start to finish. It is on Evergreen. Now, I mix up the bonuses. I put some out there, I take some away. So that's what changes. I sometimes offer different workshops with my 6-week accelerator, but on the whole, it's out there. Now, some of you, though, will have your online course only open during certain intervals, maybe twice a year, once a quarter. So you have to ask yourself, when is a good time to put that out to my audience? And how do you know if you're burning them out, right? Because I do not want you, listen to me good, burning out your audience. And let's define that. That's when your audience tunes out. And I'm talking about your email list. It could be your social media followers, okay? It's the people that follow you on a regular basis. But today, especially, I'm talking about your email list. Are you burning out your audience? And if so, what should you do about it? Because the last thing I want you to do is work very hard to build up a followership, build up people that want your expertise, and then they tune out because you bombard them with offers or irrelevant information. So when people opt in for something that you have, it's because they think that you can help them, right? That you can be the guide or the expert or authority to get them to where they want to go. You're listening to this podcast right now because you want to build up your course or some kind of program, you want to market it, you want to sell it, you want to generate revenue. You likely want to build up a course-based business because that's what I talk about a lot on this podcast. You're listening because you want me to help you. And it's the same thing when someone opts-ins for your guide or your checklist or your audio or mini course, whatever you're offering, they're putting their faith in you to show them the path, the next step. So when we abuse that faith, they tune out. Abuse can come in terms of providing irrelevant information or content. Another way is selling too much, making offers all the time, or maybe you make it about you a lot and you don't make it about who you're serving. We talk about sharing your personal stories here on this podcast, but also making it about your person, right? Bringing it back to them. Because if you make it about you all the time, you're the worst expert out there. I'll just say it, like, you've got to make it about your student, right? And what they need and solving for their pain point. People tune out for all these reasons. Or I see a lot of people sometimes do a lot of affiliate marketing and they bring guest offers. And you might say, well, this is irrelevant to me. So bringing content to the table, especially when it's affiliate offers that aren't right for your audience, that's another reason why your people want to tune out. And sometimes in business, we get so focused on our business and our goals that we lose sight of our audience and who we're here to help. And I don't want you to ever do that. I've been on the receiving end of this. I've signed up for influencer emails. I remember I signed up for one expert's emails and she was emailing me twice a day. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't keep up with all this information that you're sharing with me. So it's one, I feel bombarded. Two, I can't get the value out of what you're sharing with me because it's too much. And then I feel overwhelmed and then I feel like a failure, right? And we never want our people to feel like a failure. We want our people to feel like they're winning, even small wins each and every day. So we have to think of our audience and how they're feeling on the receiving end. And this comes back to business because it doesn't do you any good to have a list that's burned out and doesn't open or take action on your content. A burned out audience will not buy. You've worked hard to gain your email followers and you don't want to lose them. Now, there's a few reasons why this is a challenge. One, you've worked so hard to gain your email list, folks, you don't want to lose them. Plus, this likely means you're not focused on growing your list because you're burning out your audience. You're working with the people you have. Some of you might be emailing every day or a few times a week. Maybe your audience just wants to hear from you once a week, twice a month. There might be a better cadence. Another reason why this is a challenge is you're not thinking through your multi-channel marketing. It's very likely you're not thinking through that. If you're emailing your list over and over and you're hitting them up with offers, you're not getting creative enough in terms of what you should be putting out there. And by the way, I don't care if your list is 50 or 50,000, the same principles apply that you can burn out your list. A lot of times this happens, by the way, when you launch too close together. I had a client who launched over the summer, this was a couple of years ago, it was July, and then they went ahead and launched again for September. So the July launch was this huge success, it was amazing, but September kind of bombed because they already went back to that audience that they had sold to in July. That audience was burnt out. They heard that invite and that offer. They already said no in July, and there were no new bonuses or incentives or a new take or a new spin on the course. So of course, in September, it didn't do as well. That's an example of an audience that's burnt out because you're offering them the same thing. I also had a student who offered her course and went on like this affiliate binge where she offered all these different courses or programs from different affiliates over the course of 3 months. And unfortunately, her folks tuned out. So I've had students who heard from certain gurus, hey, you should be emailing every day. They want to hear from you multiple times a week. And she did that. And then her unsubscribes went way up. Let's talk about unsubscribes for a minute. So the industry average, I did a little bit of research on this. I did Campaign Monitor research, but any software that you're using, you can do some research on this. 0.1% is the average for unsubscribes. So say you send out a promo, you're going to get 0.1% on unsubscribes. And you say, well, God bless them, right? That wasn't your person. If you're consistently seeing higher than that, then you might have an issue. So you want to look out for these signs. You want to keep an eye on your metrics. What are your click-through rates doing? What are your open rates? I know open rates are a little more wonky because of the Apple privacy laws, but really looking through your click-through, I'd say an average is about 1.5%, depending on your industry that you're using for online marketing. If you're not getting 1 or 1.5% on your emails, your people might be burnt out or disinterested, or it might be time to pivot in terms of your strategy on your email content. So what are you going to do instead? First of all, figure out if they're burnt out, right? That's the litmus test. You're going to check your email stats. You're going to see if you're getting engagement on your emails and content. You're going to look at how many promos have you been doing? How many invites? How often do you email your people? Okay, looking at those stats once again. What are your metrics? What are your unsubscribes rates? Are you getting responses when you ask people to respond? So whether it's a click through to this, like are they visiting the page? Are they filling out a survey? Are they replying to your email? And then I want you to reevaluate your strategy. And same with social media, by the way. Are you looking in terms of your engagement? Has engagement dropped? Now, social media algorithms can be very finicky. I'll be the first to admit it. It could be your content. It could be you're putting out too many promos. So what do you want to focus on instead? If your audience is getting burnt out, it could be you're not doing enough list building activities and getting new subscribers. I often talk on this podcast about how Becky, my online business manager, is always encouraging me to build the list. So what are the different strategies that you're doing to make sure your opt-in is front and center? That you're making sure that list is healthy, that you've got new people, because you want to engage new buyers. So maybe you need to introduce a new opt-in. Maybe you need to update the existing opt-in, but getting yourself out there in different ways to invite new people onto your list. You can't keep selling to the same audience if you want to grow your course-based business. Your people have either bought from you or if they decided your offer wasn't right for them at the time. So you need to bring in new people who are interested in what you have to offer. And by the way, are you promoting your lead magnet everywhere you can? Is it in your email signature? Every time you talk to someone, like you're doing a media interview, you're doing a live, are you mentioning your opt-in? Are you reminding people on social media? We have opt-ins that I call them classic opt-ins that have been around for a while, but it doesn't mean that they're stale or they're not working. It just means that new audiences need to be exposed to them. Are you getting your opt-ins in front of new audience? Are you growing your list? Okay, I think I've harped on this enough. Oh, one more thing. Are you scaling your platform? Are you guesting on other podcasts? Or say growing people on LinkedIn or TikTok or another platform that really works for you? I'll link to some great scaling your platforms episodes that I've done in the past. And I want you to scale. Okay, that's how you build up your list. That's how you build new audiences. Then you're not going to burn out your audience. The next thing I want you to do is think about partnering to build new audiences. Can you go and do a workshop for someone who is a great audience for you? Can you do a live? How are you building your platform in terms of partnerships and affiliates? Who can you collaborate with? I want you to focus on new people. So this is a two-pronged approach for this episode. So you're taking care of the people you already have. You're not burning them out. You're being careful. You're watching your stats because those are the people in your community, and nurturing to them to the sale is super important. So before I leave you, let's wrap up. This is really a two-part episode, right? And first and foremost, nurturing the people you have, not burning them out, reminding people that you want to keep building that relationship, keep offering relevant content so that your audience sees you as the expert to turn to when they need help. Remember, you're building a relationship and you need to keep showing up and connecting. You don't want to be the person who only emails when you're selling something. People tune out, right? You want to be the person they look to. They look forward to your emails. They look forward to whatever content you're putting out. And then the second part of this episode, make sure you're introducing new people to your community and to your list. I want you doing both, okay? Because I know you can do this. All right, hopefully this was enjoyable for you and helped you figure out your next steps in terms of your list and your audience. Make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss one episode. If this podcast has impacted you in any way, please leave me a review. And until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.